thing about like feminism is that it really is, they don't say this, they indirectly say this, it is rooted in hating men. They literally wrote manifestos about like killing men and getting rid of the male population.
You're tuned in to Kaz TV.
We're here.
How do I get rid of these, like the chat? I'm so confused.
I don't think you can.
Okay.
So you can tap it to where it's like it only shows the two most recent.
Okay,
messages.
I got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
You want to get rid of the chat?
But it's like blocking all of this.
You know when you tap it and it blocks like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm
covers your face and everything. Yeah.
So, Rebecca, how's your week going so far?
It's been going okay. We've been in the process of moving, so the last couple weeks have been pretty stressful, just like moving from literally 15 minutes down the road, but those 15 minutes down the road have been the longest 2 weeks of my life.
Oh, wow.
But I think we're getting settled now. We're getting settled. So hopefully the bags under my eyes, that's why I put my glasses on. I was like, hopefully the bags under my eyes don't show. But other than that, we're pretty good.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to hop on, even though you guys are moving and stuff.
Yeah, no, we're getting settled into our new place.
That's cool.
But it's just, with moving, you have to like find where all your stuff is again, and it's that whole thing.
Yeah.
My wife and I might be moving here pretty soon as well.
Good luck with that. If you need boxes, I'll ship you some boxes.
Yeah. We might need some boxes. What? So you guys are in
Florida,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What part?
North, Central, or South?
We're in Orlando. I won't give you the specific area where.
Give the specifics.
But Orlando, the general Orlando area.
Central Florida.
Central Florida.
Are you guys from there originally? You're transplanted?
No. So I'm originally from Florida, but South Florida, and my husband's originally from New York. And so like New York, New Jersey area. So we actually met in New York, and then when the panorama came along, we decided to move down here to Florida. Okay. And we've been here ever since. It was like, we'll just wait out the 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks turned into almost 3 years. Yeah, 3 going on 4 years, I think. I don't know. It's a blur at this point.
Wow.
Yeah.
You ever see yourself leaving Florida?
Have I seen what?
Do you see yourself leaving Florida?
I mean, if my husband gets relocated to another state, I just want to be in a red state, to be completely honest. I don't want to be in these like liberal cities anymore.
Right.
Takes a whole nother.
I don't want to go through another lockdown and be stuck, like I've seen in New York and stuff like that. So just seeing that, I don't want to go through that again, just in case. Yeah. Just in case something happens.
Gotcha. Cool. Gotcha.
Yeah. So we don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you're busy and things like that. But we were just going to chat today. I mean, this is our first time being back on live since the new year. We tried to go live last week and we had some technical issues with somebody. Their account wasn't updated or something, so it didn't let them join. But glad we're not running into that today. But we're just going to talk about what everybody seems to want to talk about with us for some reason. The only topic that people seem to be interested in is relationships and marriage and stuff like that. When we talk about arguments for Christ and stuff like that, people are like, we don't want to hear that. Give us relationships. So, figured we talk with one of the kind of up and coming relationship people right now.
I don't know about
YouTube.
that.
You were just
No
No
Jumper.
Jumpers? Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, that was honestly, that was God. I'm just gonna like give you a quick backstory on that.
Yeah.
So Ruslan, which I think you guys know,
Yep.
Ruslan messaged me like I guess it's been a month already, and he was like, "Hey, are you interested in going on No Jumper?" And I was like, yeah, like sure." That would be a huge opportunity. And he was like, "Cool, I'm gonna send Adam your stuff right now." And I was like, "Okay." And then Adam, I guess, was like, "Yeah, like I would love to hear her perspective." And I was originally supposed to be there debating like this huge porn star apparently who like advocates for other porn stars and like the industry and all that other stuff.
Wow.
And apparently she got the vid. I don't know what the rules here are anymore, but she got the vid and like the podcast was almost canceled.
Okay.
And
the vid was going over my head. I was like, the vid of what?
yes,
like,
okay.
okay.
Come
okay,
on.
I got you.
Okay. So yeah, and it was almost canceled, like the whole thing. And I was already in California. I had brought my husband and my daughter came, so I was like gonna be super bummed. But he was like, "Yeah, just like come on and we'll have a conversation." And I was like, "I'm gonna have a one-on-one with Adam, like this guy who has like 4 million subscribers and whatever." I was like, "That's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie." And it's honestly God, because like the turnout on the video and like the comment section, like it's first started out rough, and then after that they're like, "This is an awesome like perspective. Thank you for bringing her on." And yeah, it was a cool experience, and yeah, it was definitely God. It was a God thing. Not I didn't orchestrate it. I was just like, "Okay, sign me up."
Yeah, just show up.
Yeah, show up. Exactly.
So, what did you guys? Was the main topic like relationships? Was it God? Was it? Because I don't really watch his stuff. I've seen clips.
Yeah, it was about feminism, primarily, because originally we were going to talk about like the sexual liberation movement with the porn star and like the industry and all that other stuff. But he kind of like leaned into my story about feminism and leaving feminism and leaving that ideology, and kind of talking about like the different things about that and like a lot of red pill stuff. So yeah, it seems to be the hot topic. People just want to know how to couple up, how to get married, how to stay married. I don't think that the topic of how to stay married is very popular.
Right.
It's more of like, how do I hook up with as many girls as I possibly can? And yeah, it's an interesting world. But I mean, I understand it.
So give us like a little synopsis for people that don't know, like how we got here. I think we talked about this last time. One of my best friends, Hafiz.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier, and we were kind of like talking about schools and what they're teaching kids. We're like, man, how did we get here? And Hafiz reads tons of books.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know how many books he reads in a week, but he reads a lot.
Yeah.
And he was just talking about how, we got to a place of complacency when it came to like the school boards and things like that. We saw that as like, that's for people that really don't have anything else going for them. They get involved in the school board and things like that. And then all the people that really had ambition to do stuff, they went and did their thing. And the only people left were like the blue-haired, nose, ears, lip, tongue pierced, like crazy, radically left person, non-binary person left to like be in charge of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you say is the kind of like brief synopsis of how we got to where we're at now when it comes to like relationships and marriage and this outlook on dating and things like that. Would you say that the church kind of let drop the ball and kind of like what we were saying with Hafiz, or what's your thoughts on like synopsis of how we got here? Your opinion.
Yeah,
It doesn't even have to be the same as what I was expressing.
I think it's like a multi-pronged thing that kind of intersects at like this relationship point. But you have feminism, you have the sexual liberation movement, you have the introduction of the birth control pill in the end of the 60s, early 70s. You have abortions and all of these like different components coming up at the same time, right? So with the introduction of the birth control pill, that opened up this whole sexual liberation movement for women. Like it detached that part of our nature because now we have a pill that can essentially do away with that
pregnancy
and like the component of that attached to sex, right? That's why when you talk to like pro-choice people, primarily women, they don't see it as a baby, they see it as a clump of cells because it's all been indoctrinated in these women, in these people, right? And that's not an accident. Like these things are not an accident. So with women's sexual liberation, with feminism,
explain
and all that
stuff. That is
what
sexual liberation.
Sexual liberation.
What is that? Was that an event in time for people that don't know about the sexual revolution and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's still like a movement.
Okay.
But basically, in like the free love era of like the Western world, you know, everyone wanted to have sex. It was the 70s. Like people were going to, you know, festivals. They were going to Woodstock. They were just literally, it was like free love, right? And so with the introduction of the birth control pill, that empowered, and I put that in quotes, empowered women to like take on that newfound sexuality. Like, oh, I don't have this burden anymore because I take this pill, because I, you know, have a handle on my, you know, fertility. And so they were having a lot of sex. They were telling other women to have a lot of sex. This was like the time of Madonna and, you know, these different types of women that are like very hypersexual and pushing it into to the world, to women, and saying like, you should also be sexual, you should also explore that sexuality, you should also, you know, basically wear whatever you want to wear, and it's not your fault if anything were to happen to you. Yeah.
Okay.
And so with all of these things, it detached responsibility and accountability off of women. And because, you know, traditionally women are born with value, we can create new life, and men have to work for their value. That's why a lot of men in their like in later in their life,
they reach their peak later.
Exactly.
Right.
And for women, we've always been taken care of. Like, right. Oh, you know, they are protected. They are the protected ones. And so like women have just never really had to take accountability. And then you tack on feminism and the sexual liberation movement onto that, and these women are feral. Like a lot of these women are just feral, like animals at this point. You know, having high body counts is like a thing to be praised in society these days. And I think, you know, we've also moved away from religion any type of religion, and moved into paganism essentially. And
So
yeah, it's just it's like a lot of things that
okay,
come together to make
yeah,
this crap storm.
yeah. So it seems like a lot of the negative things in that would be common sense negative issues almost praised as good things now.
Mm-hmm.
And Jordan Peterson mentioned something about how at the same time with this time frame that you were referencing about the sexual revolution, there was a movement in the like psychology sphere,
Yeah,
whatever, where
mm-hmm.
they kind of they started drifting towards the importance of self-esteem
Mm-hmm.
as a big factor in health, which that you can see why we're at some of the points where we're at now when it comes to like it's not really bad if you have a body count like this. It's not really bad if you're 500 pounds and 5'2". It's not really bad to you're more concerned with how people feel in the moment, and we've placed this crown on self-esteem rather than objective healthy living.
Yeah,
For
objective truths.
for the sake of like the 1% outlier, we've made those 1% people the rule. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you talk to anybody about in the body positivity movement about like it's not healthy to have so much fat on you. Well, you know, you could look at a slightly overweight person and then a person with cancer that's built like a Greek god, and the person that's slightly overweight is more healthy. So how do you know? You know, they take these extreme scenarios, but I see that as a whole nother monster that's affecting us as a society, as well as like this particular topic we're talking about here. And it just seems like, do you think there is any hope outside of our, biblical convictions? Do you think there's any hope for us as a society to start getting back to the way things should be? And I don't think they've ever been ideal, but we've gone really far away now.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I never really strive for like the old way, right? Like this whole idea, like I get lumped into like the trad wife, the trad con type of woman, the traditional woman, the traditional conservative woman, the traditional conservative wife, the traditional conservative mom, all of those things, right? And so like that idea, and when you see that on like the internet and Instagram and TikTok, it's all of these like 1950s like women that are wearing dresses. They're just like little dainty, they don't do anything, they're just like popping the casserole in the oven. Like that's not, that's not something that I want to strive for either.
Right.
I think that, if we really do look at the past, women worked primarily in the home, women raised the children, women, basically became domestic engineers. So like we had to manage the fields, we had to manage the home, we had to like milk the sheep and the cows and pick up the chicken, like the the eggs, and so women have always been very active in the home, very active with their children, teaching their children. So yes, I think that is something that we should go back to, and I do see hope there, because I really like when I look at these what do they call, like, I'm a millennial, what do they call, is it Gen Z? Yeah, Gen Z. I see a lot of Gen Z, essentially kids, right? Like they're just young people. I see these young people really like yearning for meaning, for hope, for purpose. Like I really do. And I think that the internet, like these kids were raised on the internet. Like I'm in my 30s, right? Like I had AOL, like we were the first people to get AOL, right? Like the dial up, you know.
The dial up, yeah.
But like I see my niece who literally was handed a phone at like 5 years old, 6 years old, like a tablet. Like I see kids with these tablets and like they're 13-year-olds doing TikTok dances. When I was like 13, I was like putting Elmer's glue on the back of like quarters and putting it in my desk. Like that's what I was doing. And like these girls are like half naked on the internet, like doing TikTok dances. So like the generations are definitely different, and it would be disingenuous for us to say like they have different they've grown up in a different era. They've grown up in a whole new world that we don't understand.
Right.
You know, so I do think that there is hope. I think that generation will have to step up because they, you know, I think they're like wanting something. A lot of them are waking up. A lot of them that have like gone through this like whole transition into like being other genders and stuff. There's so many detransitioners that are coming out of the woodwork and like speaking against it and saying like, no, like we should not be doing this to young people, you know? And so I think like a lot of people are going to have to go through a lot of pain, and a lot of these young kids like and young adults have to like they're growing up much faster than we ever did. I honestly believe that like we were like the last, I say we, meaning I don't know how old you guys are, but like
32.
Yeah,
30.
so I'm 34. So am I 34? Yeah, I'm 34. So like we were like the last generation really to like go play outside and have that like traditional childhood.
That's true.
You know?
You're right about that.
So right now, we have a request for someone to hop on. We're gonna go ahead and let some people hop on. Share your thoughts really quick. We're gonna try to limit it to give everybody opportunities, but try to make it. We'll say 2 to 3 minutes. It is.
Oh, okay.
If you guys see him before I do, let me know. Oh, there we go.
Hello.
How's it going? What's your name? Where are you from?
Well, my name is Rob Rui, and I'm with LTAM. Let's talk about men. We support men, women, children, and families. And I just want to first say, I'm really proud that you guys are taking the time to talk about these things and bring it to light, because this is what we do every single day over here. So kudos to you all for just bringing this up. Young lady, straight up, the stuff you're saying, I'm like, wow, you are the hope. You are the reason why a lot of guys like myself that are in our 40s, right, gray beard, right, that we can say there is a possibility for us to get back to what is important, which is love, and which is also the respect that should reciprocate on both ends. You know, as the host of LTAM, I'm sure you guys could check it out afterwards and have a good time. But we go into all these things. You know, 80% of divorces today are attained by women, 90% if you're college educated, right? And the number one reason documented for the last 2 years is when the women out earn the men. Another thing that I'm seeing in the world that is just detrimental and is pushing these men out of the home does not allow us to teach the men of the next generation to learn that sometimes your feelings are not as important as the duty and responsibility that's set ahead of you. It is a beautiful thing when a mother goes, honey, you're perfect the way you are and all that stuff. It also takes a man to come in and say, dude, get off your butt, clean your room. You're not where you need to be. You got too much weight on you. You got to get off those video games. Stop fapping. Right? And start rapping. Right? So first off, like I said, I just want to say that you guys, you said you're in your 30s. So much props, because you guys are really going to be saviors of all of this stuff, and especially ladies like yourself, because I just saw one of another creator jump on Lessons of a Housewife, so props to her. Low, she's a woman that is a leader in this space. We also have Christina Mungavin as well too. And I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't get your name. What's your name?
Rebecca.
Rebecca. You're the bomb.com. And
Thank you.
the thing is this, the need to be right is not the point, right? It's just awareness of what the hell is going on in the world,
Right.
and how can we collectively work together.
Right.
So thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, take it easy. Cheers. See you on LTAM now. Peace.
That was cool.
Solid, brother.
That's some good stuff there. So, man, yeah. So he made some good points, and I obviously agree with. I guess my question to you, which we kind of texted about a little bit, and you mentioned a little bit earlier. How do you keep from? How do you walk the line of being pushed to one side or the other side, if that makes sense, when it comes to some of these issues? Like, for example, as a Christian, right? Mm-hmm. How do you keep from, when it comes to people talking about feminism? You're not going to agree with that, especially this new age feminism, whatever it is. I know people break it up into different parts, whatever. But at the same time, some of the like red pill men walk away from marriage and stuff. How do you walk that line of saying, no, feminism is my enemy, but I'm also not siding on everything these people are saying either. Right. How do you walk that line without people just saying, oh, you must be blue pill or this pill or that pill, or how do you do that? Or has that happened to you already?
I mean, it definitely happens quite often. I think that nuance is very important in the conversation. And obviously, like when you are a creator online, it's all about clickbait. It's all about like feminist woman gets kicked off and like,
gets wrecked.
Yeah, gets wrecked and owned and all this other stuff. And while that is like, for them to click on the video, what I do is actually like make it into an educational video. So I do a lot of like reaction videos, but I also have a level of like, I actually give advice, and I actually give like this level of education almost, especially to women. Like I don't really, that's the thing too. It's like, I don't really, how you say, like, how do you tote the line? Like, I stay in my lane. Like, that's the difference. I'm not sitting here saying men should do this, men need to like, no, men need to find content creators and have a level of discernment when finding those content creators. And like, that's the difference. I don't sit here saying like, yes, I advocate for men. I, just like the gentleman before, I advocate for family.
Right.
I advocate for men to be in marriages with their loving wives who give them sex on a regular basis. Like, I'm trying to give girls the game so that they can stay married. You know what I mean?
Cheat codes.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, listen, men are easy. Like, men are easy to please, okay? It's like, I was messaging you here. You're like, can we hop on a quick call? I'm like, I'm finishing dinner and I put the baby down. And that's the thing, is like, something that my husband says to me, and it gives me like such encouragement. He's like, you actually walk the walk. Like, you're not just speaking on the internet to get likes and to get, all of the clout and stuff, because it's easy to like make clickbait content. It's the difference when you're like, I'm going to give you practical advice. It's probably not going to be like the advice of saying like, F all these women or F all these guys. Right. It's going to be like, if we don't come together and meet at the table and have these conversations, like, none of y'all are going to be in relationships.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I think I think at the end of the day, and C Love, you can speak to this. I think at the end of the day, when we really look at this new movement of feminism, and even like the we call them the red pill Randy, you know,
Yeah.
the red pill Randys. They have gone to some of these places because they were hurt, and they really want a relationship. Like the feminist girl that's out there marching and stuff, that's like got her face is just pierced and tattooed, and she's like 300 pounds and stuff. Let's say 400 in case there's someone that's 300. Okay, it's 400 pounds, and she's advocating for these rights and everything, and it just hates men and the patriarchy and all that. She really deep down probably always grew up wanting, like, I want to have a husband one day. She probably watched Cinderella and was like, oh, that would be so cool if a guy put a slipper on my foot like that. And then once she started realizing that's not happening, instead of seeing why is it not happening, the reaction is there must be something wrong with the system. I'm just going to try to tear it down. And then guys are getting, some pushback from some of this stuff. And then there's some guys that honestly, even if we were in the 1940s, some of these Randys, the red pill Randy types, they wouldn't have any options back then either. And now they just like, now I can watch content to really get angry about it. It feels good. It soothes my soul when I see these girls get wrecked and they ignored me and all this other kind of stuff. And I get it because, I was there at one time. I know C Love, you went through a little red pill phase at one time, went overboard a little bit. But I think it comes from a place of hurt and longing for that relationship and marriage the way that God designed it to be. And we are kind of thinking like, it should not be the way it is. Why is it not? And I think that we have the right, I forgot who said this, but we have the right, I guess, observation of what the symptom is and what the disease is, but people are giving the wrong prescriptions or claiming they don't give prescriptions.
Right.
We're talking about. But, and so I think that's really where all of this comes from, is a longing to really be loved,
For real. And I want to go back to the question you asked her earlier about how she keeps from going from one side to the other too far. One thing I've noticed about you is that you seem like the type of woman, like your identity is not found in like this YouTube content creation space. It's more so found in like your faith and your family, right? Because I've heard you say like the stuff you do on YouTube is like supplemental to your husband. You know what I mean? Like this isn't like your only thing. This isn't your identity. Your identity is your children, your marriage, your faith. So I think that's another reason why somebody like Rebecca tends to not be too far to the left, too far to the right, but like right in the middle because she has that identity.
No, I definitely agree. And I'm so happy that you made that observation because I try my hardest because as for me, I was like a former like girl boss. So it's really easy for me to like want to optimize everything and want to like do all these extra things and I need to make 4 videos a week and I need to edit all of these. It's easy to get into that for me because like that's where I lived for such a long time. Like that's almost like a default in my head. Whereas like I channel that energy into my family. Like to be honest, right now, if like I didn't have YouTube, I would just make like I'm thrift flipping stuff. Like we find stuff on Facebook Marketplace and I love DIY. And I'm like low key thinking about just making a DIY channel just to like talk about other things other than this because it does get like draining for someone who does like I make reaction videos, so I'm constantly hearing crap on both sides and I'm like y'all are crazy. Like there's so much cap out there on both sides. I'm just gonna say it. There's so much cap on both sides. And when my husband and I talk about it, it's like I could double down. Like I could definitely be saying some wild stuff out here, because it's really easy to say wild things and get picked up on the algorithms and stuff like that.
Right.
But that's not my life. Like, how I look at it is like, this is my reflection right here. This is my daughter, right? This is my daughter. She's sleeping.
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
like, my daughter, like, my daughter, this is what I do this for. This is who I do this for, right? And God forbid she ever sees me, not, God forbid she sees me in a light that's not something that I want to put out into the world. And that's how I look at it. I'm like, I want to say things that empower people, that lift people up, not tear people down. Like, I give advice, I give constructive criticism to women, but it's because I love women. I want more people to have love, to be in good marriages and have growing families. You know what I mean? And when I get frustrated when I see these content creators like saying, oh, I want traditional things, but like don't want to be traditional on both sides.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it frustrates me because it's like, you say one thing, but you're not doing that.
It seems to me
you're not living that life.
Right.
It seems to me that the motivation behind it, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to try to paint you like a saint or something, but it seems to me that your motivation for the criticism is because this action is going to kill you. This action is hurting you. Understanding that, if I had cancer and there's a pill I can take that makes me feel really good and the pain goes away, but it's still killing me, or there's a pill that tastes bad, but it's going to help me, you're going to give me the pill that tastes bad because you want me to live. Now, there's some people that are like, oh, I just don't want you to be in pain, and I'll give you the one that tastes good and makes you feel good. And then there's some people that are like, I just love that look on your face and you taste that bad one, and I don't care that you feel better from it, but I'll give you that. And so I think that, like, the key is people like yourself really giving that advice and in helping, and like you said, staying in your lane, understanding, like, I'm giving women advice on things I'm actually doing. And to kind of pivot a little bit, I do have a question that I'm curious about, because I've watched some of the videos with you and your husband, how you guys get a lot of advice from your pastor, which I think is amazing, biblical advice. And since you came from like the feminist background, coming up, some practical advice on women that may watch this later or even watching now that are single or in that, like, I got to take care of mine, I got to provide for myself mentality. How did you go from that to, I'm going to let go and I'm going to trust that he's got it, and I'm not going to try to step in and grab the wheel every now and then? Or do you still struggle with that sometimes? Or how did you, just talk us through the process of that?
It's definitely like, if that's the thing, it's like, it's a process. It's a process of letting go of those, of the programming, essentially, because I don't think people understand it. Like, this is deeply embedded in all of us. Just growing up watching TV, it was like embedded in us from the beginning, And so there are days where I still struggle with thoughts of, uh, just like wanting to do more, wanting, possibly to like start businesses and stuff. Like, there's nothing wrong with that either. Right. Like, I want you to understand that. But with like this whole, the thing about like feminism is that it really is, they don't say this, they indirectly say this, it is rooted in hating men. Okay, it's about like a lot of the extreme feminists back in the day, and they were extreme feminists, they literally wrote manifestos about like killing men and getting rid of the male population.
Who did that?
There is. I'm gonna send you. I have a list. I literally had this on the top of my mind. It was. Oh my god.
I'll say this. This is what you're saying right now. That I've never heard that, and I'm sure I'm sure you're not making it up.
It's called the Scum Manifesto. I forget who wrote it. Hold on. I'm right. I'm Scum Manifesto.
Oh, y'all both on hitting the Google right now.
Scum Manifesto.
Both of y'all went
1967.
Yes, by Valerie Solaris.
Wow.
And
Radical
I have it
Feminist
here.
Manifesto.
Yeah. And
1967.
the Scum Manifesto literally is the society of cutting up men. Okay.
That's extreme.
Like literally wanting to do away with men. So like these women in the 60s, in the 70s, we think that like second wave, third wave feminism, they were like, just yay, female rights, like we're just, empowered, free love, blah blah. No, there were some angry women. Feminism is rooted in the hatred of men, whether they want to publicize it or not. It really is. And like they don't want the family. They want the destruction of the nuclear family. There are many feminists that talk about like we need to get women away from the family, because if she decides that she wants to raise children, that's going to be a hard decision for her to make if she wants to jump the boat. Like I'm obviously paraphrasing, but there's so many like radical feminists from back then.
This lady looks crazy. I just looked her up.
Yeah.
She looks insane.
Yeah.
And I always had the notion that like feminism back then was just like, let us vote.
No,
they were cars.
Let me explain something to you. Feminists, like first wave, second wave feminists, literally, like if you look it up, they were called like domestic terrorists. Like they would bomb things. They would like, you don't understand. Like they would riot. They would burn things down. Like they were literally called domestic terrorists.
So if I'm just going to play the devil's advocate, no pun intended, and someone were to say, well, that's because of all the bad things they were going through at the time. Grandpa was body slamming grandma for not making dinner. Like that's the image that they've kind of implanted in our head. What would you say back to that? Because you know it better than I do. I'm just asking from a devil's advocate perspective.
I'm just saying, like, if women had it bad back then, I would give them that, right? But women have it so much better than they did in second wave feminism, and they're still claiming freaking victimhood and
that's true.
And like, oh, we're more oppressed today. Like, sis, you're more oppressed today than women who couldn't vote. Like,
yeah.
Please explain to me how that one works.
It sounds to me like it's kind of the same situation where it's like we've identified the symptoms, but the remedy was not right. The remedy caused more problems than
the remedy. That's the thing, is like the pendulum swung so far left and so far progressive that like the majority of men, I would say, are more traditional and have not changed to become these feminist types. Like the only real men that you see that are real feminist types are like liberal men, or like in the LGBTQ plus community, or like LGBTQ plus people, like they consider themselves feminists. And feminism really is like, it started in that movement as well. So like a lot of these women were lesbians, a lot of them were bisexual, a lot of them, like I said, they wanted to be rebels, they wanted to be outlaws, they wanted to be different than everyone else. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I'm grateful for feminism because we voted, we got equality, we can have this conversation here, right? And you guys take me seriously, and like you're not questioning me, and you know what I mean? Like we have equality. That's the reason why feminism had to change the goalposts, because equality was achieved already. Like we have equality. There are no like laws, litigation. You could say, oh, Roe v. Wade. Okay,
No,
let's play
don't even worry about going down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
We agree with you. You're preaching to the choir right now.
No, but but what I'm saying is like, in the eyes of the law, we are equal.
Yeah.
Women, like there are women at the top of business. Just because women don't choose those, like I was in a STEM field. Many women do not choose to be in STEM. They offer scholarships left, right, center to women to be in STEM, for women to be in these industries, for women to pick up trades. Do women want to be power line workers? No, they don't. That's why you see a majority of these, you know, industries are men. They want the role of being behind the computer, working at Meta and all of these things, right? They want these glamorous roles. So equality is achieved.
Equality,
okay? So you have
of outcome versus equality of opportunity. And what it seems like people want.
Yeah, that's equality of opportunity.
Right. Yeah.
They want equality of outcome.
I would argue they don't even want equality of outcome, because they're not arguing that like the majority of plumbers and like, you know, sanitation workers become 50% women
No,
too.
they don't want
certain
that.
Jobs.
They don't want that.
Right.
They want the jobs that they want.
C-suite.
And they want the C-suites. They want to be like the presidents and all these other things. So they had to move the goalposts. That's why you don't see women talking about like the old definition of feminism. Now it's intersectionality. That's the new wave of feminism. That's woke feminism, and this new like progressive wave, which is essentially saying all of my problems, like my disability, my skin color, my background,
Everything.
you know, my obesity, that affects my discrimination, and that means that I'm above your discrimination. So whatever you're experiencing discrimination, I experience more discrimination. Right. That's why you see this whole victim hierarchy.
Like a hierarchy, yeah. Where I have the person who is the most away from the white, American-born, Christian, English-speaking, non-handicapped, cisgendered, straight man is the one who's at the lowest of the totem pole, and they get the most say. We've got someone that wants to hop on real quick, and again, we're just people hopping on for a couple minutes, share their thoughts, and then hopping off so we don't go down any trails for too long. But Christina is hopping on real fast. Saw your comment. Just wanted to wait for a gap real quick before we brought you on. I accepted it. You gotta hop on. Okay.
Might be loading.
Maybe, I don't know. But do you guys see her on the screen at all?
No.
Screen? Okay, cool. Well, I clicked accept.
Would you say that women are happier today or worse off?
I think that women should be happier, but they're not. A lot of women are on antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication, you know, and I would say a lot of these things are linked to birth control, because birth control is given to women like candy. Like, take whatever dosage you want. We're going to give you all of these different types you can try, you can see what works for your body, and then whatever works, just stay on that for like 15, 20 years, and you'll be perfectly fine. Like, you won't suffer with depression, you won't suffer with anxiety, you won't have a low libido, you won't have all of these issues hormonally. You'll be perfectly fine.
Right.
So I think that and with that too, like, I also say, you know, women in the workforce that are wanting to do this whole like 50-50 type of thing, these relationships, they take on more than they can chew. So like, they go to work, right? And then their partner is expecting, their husband or their boyfriend is expecting them to like make dinner too, right? And then they get home, they're like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, we
Because
need to figure
I
this out.
just did the same thing you did, so why do I have to do
Exactly.
it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so a lot of, like, because we've stepped so far away from like these traditional gender roles, women are becoming more and more angry. They're becoming more jaded, they're becoming more depressed, more anxious. They are confused. Like, when you look on TikTok, when you look on Instagram and you see these women having these meltdowns online, one, I feel extremely terrible. Like, I feel so bad for them. Like, that's just like me empathizing with them as a woman. But like, they put themselves in these situations, right? And like, it doesn't help that society feeds them the lies upon lies, like you said, right? Oh, this is the pill that's going to make you feel better. But like, every day they're gaining weight.
Right.
They are on all of these medications to try to level themselves out. It's not a good combination for women. And then on top of that, you try to date, you try to figure out, oh, should I pay? Should we, is it half and half? If he holds the door open for me, am I, not empowered enough? Like, calm down. Everything's
It's a
gonna
lot
be
of
okay.
lies.
A lot of
lies.
lies.
It's a lot of
The
lies.
internet lies, man. Social media lies.
It's the lies of the world, you know.
Yeah.
And I was actually talking to Hafiz about this. Again, I hate to keep bringing him up, but we talk about a lot of this stuff. And he brought up an interesting point that I think he might have got from like Jordan Peterson or something like that. Oh, that's weird. I was just reading a comment. Christina, who usually hops on, she's trying to join. This still shows that other guy that was on here. I don't know, but anyway, that the trick of the enemy from the beginning had been go after the woman first, go after Eve, you know. And the Bible doesn't say, so I don't want to speak where the Bible is silent, you know. But I assume sometimes, and other people have assumed this as well, that Adam was kind of just not doing his job and not, you know, saying, Eve, well, let's not talk to the snake. Let's go over here, you know. And when she ate the fruit, nothing happened. When he ate the fruit, something happened and God came to Adam because Adam was responsible for letting this happen. And there's sins of, I forget the term, but it's like omission and commission or something like that. Where you actively do something God told you not to do, or you are not doing something God told you to do. And so when it comes to men today, and I know, like you said, you're not speaking to men. You're speaking to women that want to have the same results you have, and so you're helping give them the formula for that. When it comes to men, you know, we have to remember that the enemy is like a lion looking to devour somebody, and the Bible says that they are the weaker vessel. So we have to protect them from these lies. It's very interesting to me how there was a poll years ago that was done in Christian circles about certain issues that the Bible's pretty black and white on when it comes to like LGBT stuff or when it comes to, you know, women pastors, or when it comes to just different issues about, like, is Jesus, you know, the only way? And when the women were polled and the men were polled, there was a lot less men that were okay with these issues, and there were a lot more women compared to the men that were okay with these issues, and kind of like, yeah, I could buy that. And I think as men, we need to protect these women, our women, from the lies. I'm not going to protect I'm not saying go out and save these blanks, but we've got to start addressing the lies. And you know, if there was a time when we were in control and all this other kind of stuff, then we really dropped the ball if that was the case, because we allowed this stuff to happen.
Yep, men allowed it.
We allowed it to happen. We allowed the women to say, no, we'll do this, we'll do that. And I know there were some factors, like World War II, almost all the guys were gone off to war. So I get that. And then they come back, and now it's kind of like, I've been working this whole time. What are you going to do? You know, I don't have anywhere to get a job. So I get it. I understand. But I think we need to be part of the solution and moving it forward. And that starts with a biblical understanding of where we need to be, and bringing everything back towards God, and removing the lies, and not doing the same things the feminists did, where we recognize a problem and we're going to diagnose it with the pill that tastes good, which is one of those colored pills. We're going to diagnose it with God, Jesus pill, you know, and we're going to say, hey, no, feminism is evil, it's bad. Obviously, you know, like you said, there's some, you get to come on live, cool, but you know, and that's good. But we notice these negative things. We can notice these negative things and systematically attack them without getting all emotional and saying, oh, I'm going to watch Fresh and Fit for 5 hours every day to kind of sulk in my, you know, pain and everything like that. We've got to move towards solutions.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. If you do go through any heartbreak as a man, and then you turn on Fresh and Fit, or like some of those other red pill type channels, does make you feel a little bit good. I'm not gonna lie about that.
Yeah, he went down a rabbit hole.
Does make you feel a little bit good.
He was going to sleep with this stuff, like, you know, by his ear, like
Kevin
meditating on
Kevin
it
Samuels.
night.
You watch Kevin Samuels rip into a woman, and you just got your heart broken by one. Oh my gosh, it's like gospel.
And I completely understand why, like, people gravitate towards these things, right?
It's understandable.
We, like, as a society, we crave negative things. Like, we want the news, we want this fear porn, like that's what they want. Like, we want, it's like we yearn for these things, you know what I mean? And that's probably why I haven't been like uber successful on YouTube, because like I'm not calling women like, you know, 304s and all of these things and saying like,
what does that mean?
It's hoe.
Yeah.
304. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Okay. I never knew. Okay.
I don't do those things, you know, so like it's very difficult. I guess like I just, like I said, I stay in my lane. I talk to women primarily because, you know, I think that there's a lot of guys that they're like you said, you have to have a level of discernment when you watch these content creators, because
of course
we're all human.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. The thing that boggles me the most too is like people think that I'm like this perfect wife and that I do no like wrong and that I'm always just like put together. Like, no, sis. Like, trust me, my husband will come in here and say like, sometimes I'm done with her. Right. There are days where he's done with me. However, we work together and I correct. Like I come back onto my route. I like come back on the path, right? If I have a meltdown or if I have these moments of like weakness or whatever, I say, okay, I need to course correct here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I know what the truth is and I know what my roles are. I need to course correct, and I have to rely on my relationship with God. And that's the thing too, like that this is like you mentioned, the prescription is wrong, because like when you want to have traditional relationships, there is a component of morality and there is a component of religion. Okay.
Yeah.
Whether like I've talked to Muslim women, I've talked to so many people in so many different religions, right? And the thing that holds it all together is this morality component, right? It's knowing that I serve my God, and it's like my relationship with God is what feeds my relationship with my husband. If I just relied on the relationship with my husband, we would be at each other's throats all the time. You know what I mean? But there are things that I've wanted to say to my husband that I let other people say to my husband, that I let God say to my husband, that I use other men to speak to my husband.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
And I know you probably don't have too much time.
Yeah, I have like 30 minutes left. That's my hard.
That's more than I thought. Okay, cool. So let's talk about those things when it comes to the advice side, right? Mm-hmm. So me and my wife, when we talk about things, we realize that the reason why I need to love her is not because we're in love.
Yeah.
It's because God tells me to.
Mm-hmm.
The reason she needs to respect me is because God tells her to.
Mm-hmm.
And so some days she's going to feel like it just because I'm great. Sometimes I'm going to feel like it because she's great. But then sometimes I'm not going to be great. Blah, blah, blah.
That's more often the case. Exactly. Is that there are very many seasons where it's like, I can't even look at you right now. You know what I mean? And it's like, we have to go, like, that's when you talk to older people. So I'm in a marriage group with older people that have been married for 15, 20, 30 plus years. Okay. And hearing their perspective about marriage is so eye-opening and it's so encouraging. And that's why like we remain in this group, because we get so much value from these people, and they go through the same thing. They say like, this whole like chasing the honeymoon phase, like, yeah, that's eventually going to run out, and you're going to have companionship love with your husband and with your wife for the rest of your marriage, and you will have romantic love sprinkled in here and there. But like that idea of like romantic love, like this, oh baby, like let's make out on the beach and you know what I mean? Like that's that honeymoon phase. That's that initial like attraction, and you should be attracted to your spouse. You should have that polarity within your marriage, within your relationship. However, letting that sustain your marriage for the long run is where people get it wrong. And I've only been married 3 years. Okay. So like I hear this from people, like I get my information from other people who've been married for much longer than I have. And they say the same exact thing. And that's what keeps me going, because there are going to be seasons of my life. There's going to be seasons of my husband's life that are not going to be cookie cutter. Oh, we're just in marriage bliss. Right. No, so, you go through struggle.
So it's like in those moments where you feel like, oh man, I can't stand him, or I can't stand her, how do you get through those moments? You know what I mean? Like,
you
what
recognize
sustains
that
you through those moments?
You recognize that it's a feeling, and feelings are fickle. Feelings go away. Feelings change from moments in the day.
How do you get through those moments while the rest of the world is telling you those feelings are what you need to be listening to?
I literally,
especially coming from a feminist perspective. I don't mean to mansplain it, but I don't mean to set you off. But like your personal story, your unique situation. I know you probably fought with the idea and some of the ideology that you came up with, and what the world is constantly telling you, and maybe some old girlfriends that were in the picture. How did you fight those voices and maybe even voice to people you were friends with that still aren't walking the same walk you guys are walking. How did you fight those in those moments that he's talking about?
When like we're going through something, we have our like, so if we can't resolve our issues on our own, we have a counsel. Like we have our counselor that steps in, and we like message him and be like, hey, this is what we're going through right now. Like, I'm struggling with it. I can't, like, sometimes it's together, sometimes it's separate. Sometimes I would message him and be like, hey, PG, like, I'm going through something right now with James. Like, could you like mentor him in this? Like, could you actually talk to him? I can't break through to him or whatever. But I don't allow like the family, other girlfriends or other people in that like inner circle until we have some resolution, until we have like got past that, because a lot of people hold resentments for you, and I've noticed that. And I'm like, and I've made that mistake, don't get me wrong, I've made that mistake, right? And I've had to sit down with that person that I told and be like, look, this is my husband and I'm like going to be with him for the rest of my life. So this one little hiccup that you witnessed and that you saw in me as well, you need to get over that if we're going to continue to like have relationship together, like as far as family, you know what I mean?
What was the advice that the person was saying? Or were they giving like advice? Or were they?
Well,
like,
I
you said you accidentally told somebody.
I will say like, oh, like, are you gonna take that from him? Oh, like, you know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah.
Bro, that just
You just triggered that. You just triggered.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
So
exactly.
Oh
yeah, he's about to blow.
Like, or you know, like, why you could just like things that people like, things specifically that women say to one another. It's like just like that specific thing, you know. Oh, like, why do you put up with that? Why would he, like, why would
and
you
she won't say it
do that?
to him. She won't say that to him. At least
Exactly.
she'll whisper it to you in your ear.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, we keep things quiet, but we resolve them at the same time. Like, we work to resolve our issues, whatever that may be, you know what I mean? Whether it's big or small. If it's a lot bigger, like, let's say it's like a family, it's like a death in the family, and so, you know, people are going through it, or whatever it may be, like, there are going to be seasons where things are going to be much harder, and it's going to be much harder to communicate your feelings. But that's the other part of it too, that like, I know if we're going through something, it's like, okay, he probably didn't mean what he said. He only said it because he's going through something, and I'm just gonna not take that personally.
Right.
And that's a decision that I have to make internally in my head, to be like, you know what, like, he didn't mean it, and I'm not gonna double down and say something to make it worse, or to like escalate the conversation, or to escalate the fight. Because a lot of like what happens is that like women want the final word. Women want to have the last word and all of it. So you say some dumb shisa, okay? You say some dumb, and you pull the, like, women have a tendency, I'm just saying, women have a tendency to pull out the filing cabinet, go, where, go, 2017, okay, cool. You did this.
Oh. They don't forget.
We don't forget. We might move past it. We might put it in the filing cabinet. We might save it for later. But it's also funny because sometimes, like, if we're in like a fight or something, my husband's like, oh, pulled out the filing cabinet, can't wait to see. And then I start laughing, and it breaks up the fight. You know what I mean? And so, like, if you can introduce humor into it as well, that's the thing. Is like you gotta like your spouse,
Right.
and a lot of people just like they love, but like for the rest of your life, you gotta like this person. And some days I love him and I don't like him, and some days I like him and I don't love him. You know?
Do you think? And this is something that we have been very cautious about in our house lately. We've only been married a little over a year. And
congrats.
Thank you. So we're trying. I mean, we've got a long way to go to try to get to that 58. However.
I can't wait for that. I'm like, I can't wait to be like 30 years married. Like,
and then everyone starts applauding.
Yeah.
Like that. No.
Yeah. I'm happy for you guys.
I'm sorry. He's like, I'm going off.
So when it comes to the not taking things so seriously, not looking at everything as a fight, it is interesting how like everything on TV, the movies and everything like that, it's like they act like spouses are supposed to fight each other, and that's part of it. And we've been really, I kind of made a rule. I just put my foot down, made a rule. We're not doing reality TV unless it's like British Baking Show or Shark Tank or something like that, But if it's one of those shows where it's about arguing and drama, especially those like cackling hen ladies that are just the housewives of whatever city, we're not watching it because it's making it seem normal. And I was actually talking with my wife about this like a couple of days ago. In the Middle East, back in like during the Crusades, during like that time period, there were a lot of rulers, I'm sure other parts of the world, that had their children watch executions when they were young. The reason why is if you've never seen someone executed before, you'll be like, oh my gosh, that was terrible. And it'll take you a while to get unshocked by it. I used to work in the operating room as a medical device sales rep. When I saw my first hip replacement, I was like, what in the world is going on? They're tearing this guy apart. And then I got used to it, and it wasn't a big deal. In the same way, when we're watching people and spouses that are supposed to love each other argue with each other constantly, at first we're like, whoa, that's disgusting. Who would want to do that? And then we're starting to see it as, it's not that bad. It's normal. The shock value goes away. And when it's not as shocking and not as bad, it doesn't seem as bad when you do it. And so it opens that door for you to do that too. And so, when it comes to everything in the media and all that kind of stuff, were there any boundaries or rules that you guys had to try to get away from that?
We don't have cable. We don't actually watch TV either. We watch movies, and it's mostly like Denzel Washington movies.
Remember the Titans, stuff like
that? Like
literally
the
anything. Equalizer.
Yeah.
Like literally any Denzel movie. It's like, okay, well, today I guess we're actually watching John Wick, the movie series, John Wick. So we don't watch TV, and I had stopped watching that like garbage TV a long time ago because I didn't have TV in New York either. So it's been about like 6 years since I've watched like real garbage TV. Like sometimes if it like is on an airplane, I like put it on or whatever. But like we don't watch that stuff. And actually my husband would never allow that in this house. He'd be like, turn that off right now. Like my husband, he keeps it funky with me. He's like, why are you watching that? Like, stop. Like the most drama we watch is Fresh and Fit or, like those things. But
wait, so you guys watch Fresh and Fit together?
We used to, yeah. Yeah,
So like how is that watching it with your husband? Like, is he like, I need you to listen to this part? Or like,
no.
How does it work?
No,
like,
actually, to be honest, to be honest, on watching Kevin Samuels before, and I was like, what is he saying? That's like I could resonate with that.
Yeah.
And then I started watching Kevin Samuels because my husband was watching Kevin Samuels. And so we then started watching Fresh and Fit and like all these other things. And like he says a lot of these, I don't want to quote him, but he just says like some of these things, like these guys are not them, but like these things are kind of like, okay, cool, like, but it's a little overdone. The whole thing is a little overdone. It's when the same questions. This is why I stopped reacting to Fresh and Fit, and like I react sometimes to just Pearly things when there's other people like actually talking, and it's not like, what's your body count, and the same questions, because the same questions keep getting brought up. It's so annoying to just watch the same thing. It's a different girl saying the same thing, like a different girl, different face, saying the exact same thing that the next girl that said it like the day before. So it's frustrating because it's like the same questions, the same answers.
Then you start to believe that's all that's out there.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, and then you get really crazy, and you start saying like, well, I'm gonna go to Cambodia and get a wife, and I'm gonna send her like $500 a month to take care of our son that I never see. And it's like, dude, you've never even left your state. You're gonna go to Taiwan and or something and get a.
Right.
It's crazy.
What people don't understand about like these passport bros is that expats have been a thing forever. Like I worked for an oil and gas company, and they sent me to Abu Dhabi for 6 months, and the amount of expats that live in the Middle East and in the Emirates and all of that stuff, like, come on now. Like, you can't tell me that this is a new thing. Like, these people have been doing this forever. If you don't have success in your country, that is perfectly fine. Go and
look at Isaac, Abraham's son.
Oh yeah.
Like, he's like, hey, the women here aren't good enough. Go back to the homeland and get one.
But that's the thing. It's like, you gotta, honestly, like, if that works for them, like, that works for them. You know what I mean? It's the praising of these women or the praising of these lifestyles. It's like, I get it, but these women, I need, for any guys that are watching this, these women are also very opportunistic. If you honestly think that these women are not thinking green card, you're delusional. Like, that's also delusion there, because a lot of these women, especially like from Brazil, like, I'm Brazilian, okay? A lot of these women look for guys, like white guys that come to Brazil, and they're like, that's my ticket out of here. Okay? That's my ticket. Yeah. I'm gonna lock this man up, and I'm gonna make him my husband. And I'm gonna go to the States. Hi. Yeah. Like, we've seen this before.
Well, but Rebecca, you're not talking me out of not going. I'm still going to Brazil. I don't care what you say.
Okay, listen.
I'm still gonna go.
Okay, listen. I feel like you would have a very good time in Brazil, and I feel that you would probably get a very beautiful wife in Brazil. Just saying. If you bring her back, however, that's the problem.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So you have to stay in Brazil. That's the issue.
Okay, that makes sense.
Here's the only thing though that bothers me sometimes. It's not. I agree with like 90% of like I'll say this. I agree with most of the like red pill talking points.
Yeah.
The only thing that bothers me about it is when it's like some loser that's in his mom's basement that's like, yeah, we need to get back to the way things were. And it's like, dude, you would have nothing.
And he's fat,
you would still
not in shape.
You would be worse
and you're like,
off than where you are now. Yeah, do it now. And it's like, man, what? And so, like, dude, you you are not getting one of these passport women or whatever. You're not getting a wife, a FedEx wife.
Right.
You know, it's the guys that are doing stuff, and so you can hope. So I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. Some of the prescriptions, like I said, it's like I've got cancer. I want to get married. I'm dying of this heartache. I'm dying of this disease, this cancerous disease. And instead of me figuring out, okay, yeah, I got done dirty. Instead of figuring out how do I stop that from happening next time, vet better and make a better decision to where I can move my life forward. Instead of just gonna binge watch Pearly Things or Fresh and Fit and just like, yeah, she really got him there. And it's like, okay.
But that's the thing with women and men. Like,
yeah, women.
I always go back to discernment, right? Like if you are dating the same person with a different face and a different name, and you're marrying these types of people, because I've seen women that have been on their second, third marriages, and they're like, oh, he was a narcissist, and he was. I'm like, baby girl, clearly you have a problem with narcissists. If both of your first and second husband were narcissists, you think the third is going to have a high probability of not being a narcissist? Like, I would probably bet the odds that like you probably get another narcissist. So like if you're not doing anything to change yourself, then you're going to end up miserable. You're going to end up like getting the same person that you're talking all of this crap on. Like that's the other thing that like makes me annoyed about this whole thing. It's like these women that want these guys, like if you really want a good guy, hi, like see love over here. He like looking, he's looking. Ladies, where you at? Where you at? Right?
Hey, share this on your story so they can see it for them too. You know, later afterwards. Stop it up.
But like that's what I'm saying. Like they want trouble. They want these guys that are narcissists, that are like you know going to manipulate the situation, that they're dating multiple girls, and then the guys. I look at them and I'm like, you crap on all of these women that have plastic bodies, that have the implants and all that stuff. But like, what are you looking at? Like, what Instagram models are you DMing and trying to get with and all of this stuff? So like, cut the crap. And if you really want quality stuff, start looking for women that are not exposing themselves. Don't look for men that are with a bunch of women. You want a man to be attractive, but you also don't want a man to be like like around 10 girls at the same time. Like use your freaking discernment. So, and like a lot of people don't do that.
So do you think, and I know you got to wrap it up soon, so I'll ask one question and then I just want to get two advice things.
Okay.
Finish up real quick. Okay. So so you think that a lot of these women, like, they want the guy that's got all the girls, but they want to be, do you think part of it is like, I want to be the one that makes him change his mind, and then I'll really know my worth. I'll really know I'm worth way more when he does that. And then he doesn't do it. And then now they say all men are dogs and all this other kind of stuff.
Oh, women love, that's like a thing, like the savior complex. Women want to change men. They want to be the one to be like, oh, I did it. Like I changed him. I made him the man that he is. No, you didn't, sis. Either he's changing for himself or he's not. And that's the thing. It's like my husband, like we have both grown in our relationship. We have not, like, it's easy to stay stagnant. It's easy not to change. It's easy not to improve yourself. But if you're constantly challenging yourself, if you're constantly growing, you both are going to be growing together. Like, I'm not saying, hey, James, like, go do this and do that. Right. And you need to do this. okay? If he's not motivated to do it, he's not going to do it. Right. You can't make people change. Right. They have to want to change for themselves. So these women that think that they're going to change this bad guy into becoming a good guy, and oh, he's a player now, but just watch when I get with him.
This guy said that they want Beauty and the Beast.
Oh yeah, they do want Beauty.
Where they turn him into a regular guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's not a beast anymore. So, last two things I want to end with. One, what would you say in like 30 seconds or less is the most dangerous thing that a woman can listen to or do when she's married? Let's say she wants to get married. What would you say? Hey, stay away from this, or don't do that, because it's an easy one that a lot of women are falling for. What would you say is like the number one lie that's dangerous for women looking to get married or that already are married today?
Hanging out with single women.
Why?
Because they're going to keep you single.
Okay, how?
There you go.
Misery loves company. And if a woman is not, if she has no, she has no one in her life, if she has no prospects, she wants to make sure that the girls that she goes out with also don't get guys. So she's going to cock block them. She's going to do everything that she possibly can do to make sure that she stays the single girls, Sex in the City girls. Like, they want the crew to remain single, right? So I do have, I have divorcee friends, but I don't talk to them in the same capacity. Like, we keep it, like, these are childhood friends, but like, we don't talk every day, right? Like, huh?
You keep them at safe distance.
Yeah. And we talk about like surface level things, right? We're not talking about like, oh, these deep things within our relationships. Like, no, we don't. And for single people, like, I tell women who want to get married, go on a hunt for married women who have been doing this, who have been married, who have some time under their belt. Go do an apprenticeship under them and learn from them, right? Especially if they have like good values and morals and they're in the church and all that stuff. You can find them, right? Learn from them. Start taking notes from what they do, what they don't do, what they say. I'm very observant. I watch what people do. I watch what people say. I watch if the audio matches the visual. If these things don't mesh, I'm out. Right? Like, I listen and I watch. I'm like, that's a lie because you said something else the other day, and you know what I mean. And you're not living that life. I'm good.
I think just for anyone that may try to or maybe unintentionally twist what you're saying, I think what she's saying is, do not go for advice about a stage in your life that you're looking to get advice from people that aren't there.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think there's anything controversial about that.
If you're an entrepreneur and you are like just trying to like learn the game and whatnot, are you gonna go to someone that works 9 to 5, or are you gonna go follow a Gary Vee? Or are you gonna go follow a Mark Cuban? Are you gonna go follow someone like, who are you going to look for information from? Apply that to your relationship.
Yeah. And then, C-Love, you have any last questions?
No, man, she's awesome. She's awesome.
We need to have your husband on sometime because I've seen the videos you guys both did together, which I think he could give some really good perspective as well. Like, you know,
my husband drops mad game. Okay, he drops free game. I do. He works late sometimes, and so it's hard for our schedules to like for recording and stuff. But for sure, we do have to like, either if it's a pre-recorded video or something, we gotta make it work, because sometimes I'm like, where did you come up with that. Like, that was fire.
And it would be cool to talk to him as a newly married
Yes.
man, and then see Love as a gonna get married soon man. You know,
He's gonna find that Brazilian wife.
You know, to where he still probably remembers those times, and so it'll be great to have him on.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Cool. Well, thanks for hopping on. We'll let you go do whatever you got. But is there anything you would like to end with before you hop off?
Obviously, like, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I love having these conversations. If you guys want to follow me, I'm here on Instagram. I am Rebecca Barrett. I'm also on YouTube. That's like where I primarily make my videos, at Rebecca Barrett. And if you are a woman and looking for some marriage advice, wifely advice, I got you, girl. Just come. We'll take you under our wing.
My wife actually, she watched some of your videos, and is there a particular playlist? Because she was looking through, she's like, it's all shorts. It's a bunch of shorts.
It's weird because, like, what YouTube does now, it makes so, like, you have your uploads, you have your shorts, you have your live streams, like, it puts everything into little playlists. So I don't know, she probably clicked into a shorts and then it gave her more shorts of mine. But I make long form, I mean, not long form, I don't do podcasts a lot, but I do like 8 to 15-minute videos about specific topics. Like, the last topic I talked about was IVF. And I reacted to Adrienne Bailon and her husband. And I really broke down like every point about like IVF, what people should know about it, and like the pros and cons and that stuff.
I'll be honest, I don't know what that is.
IVF?
I think you said IBF.
No,
I was like, International Boxing Federation?
No, IVF.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Yeah, and then I'm putting one out this Friday about having sex with your husband. So I'm gonna tell the girls, gotta give the girls the game.
Okay, check it out. Joelle, if you're watching, check it out. She's gonna be sharing some, I don't know if she needs any advice on that, but yeah, that's TMI. Anyway,
good save, Zach. Good save.
Thanks for hopping on.
Of course.
And we need, like I said, even if it's recorded or something, we need to have your husband on sometime or something. That would be really cool.
Yeah, I'll talk to him and see. He's a little camera shy, but maybe he'll come on and drop some knowledge bombs sometime.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. All right, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Bye.